Hello again. So, here we are again with Campaign 5, Recollection number 10. So, starting out, once again, the source book I used was Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, created by the show and company Critical Role. And we're playing D&D 5th edition, owned by Wizards of the Coast. All right. So, I got my handy book here, so let's get started. So, first things first, the party, now in the Manor Valley of the Dwendalian Empire, and with this location comes a whole suite of new laws, factions, and people, which is why Wildemount is actually an awesome campaign setting if you're ever wanting to do it. But with that, the party and the survivors of Barrow Stone Turner's caravan arrive at the gates of the city of Deastock, which is nestled in the Etruscan Vale at the southwestern edge of the Dwendalian Empire. Now, a lot has happened here, and a lot really happens in this city, and the order of how it happens is still pretty fuzzy for me. So forgive me if something is out of order or doesn't make sense. But essentially, let's continue. Upon arrival, the party explains themselves to the Crown's Guard of the encounter with the dragon in the mountain tunnel. The Crown's Guard, they're the guards, the city guards, like the Zalestos in Tuasoa or Port Tamale. But essentially, they explain about the encounter with the dragon in the mountain tunnel, and then the guards are carefully questioning them, because any outsiders since the start of the war. So the guards are careful, basically, because right now the Dwendalian Empire is at war with the Kreen dynasty, right? The Kreen are from Jorhas across the continent. But, and there are reports of agents of the Kreen dynasty somewhere within the city. And discovering of them would fetch a handsome reward once they're innocent. So once the party's innocence is proven, basically they just go right to it and find a tavern and, kind of get settled into Deastock. And then they begin to look for work. Now, the party finds lodging at a establishment known as the Rose Nestle Inn. And from there, Vorkeef contacts the captain of the city Crown's Guard. And this individual is Captain Tabo. And he's a no-nonsense man of dark complexion and dreadlocks. And basically, ties it back into a ponytail. He's a real funny guy. Well, he's no nonsense, so he's not really that funny, but he was fun to play. Aside from that, he explains that aside from the manhunt for agents of the Kreen dynasty, there's a monster that must be hunted in the nearby Siren Green Forest. Simple monster hunting quest. And also, people have been whispering of heinous occult murders in the city. And it just so happens, at that same day, a noblewoman was murdered at the Etruscan estate in the garden grounds. Now, Vorkeef decides that the quest with probably the highest chance of a large reward is the murdered noblewoman. So with that, Vorkeef explains to the captain his background as an urban bounty hunter, and that he and his party have already technically kind of solved a mystery back in Tuasoa. This convinces Captain Tabo to allow the party to allows the party to access to the Etruscan Manor to investigate the scene of the murder. So, at this point, the party has encountered, while Vorkeef was off talking to Captain Tabo, the rest of the party, they were kind of just doing some basic shopping around town. They still don't have a whole lot of gold or anything like that, so they're kind of limited to what they can get. But they do try to sell some items, and aside from that, they kind of shop around and see what they can get their hands on. And they will need, one of them, a Goliath smith by the name of Ribbreaker Ooglock. who owns and runs the Bahamut's Forge. He's one that they're really keeping an eye on because he has a lot of cool enchanted weapons. And like, we could get our hands on some enchanted weapons. That'd be really helpful. And aside from that, like I said, he is currently kind of beyond the party's funds right now, the party's treasury. So they're like, well, let's just keep an eye on him. And then there's some other ones, but he was the big one that they were interested in. So they promised to get back to him when they acquire more gold. Now, eventually, Vorkif rendezvous with the rest of the party, and he tells them of the quests that are available to them. Now, the party heads to the Truscan Manor, where the murder has just taken place. A night has already passed. They did a long rest. They recovered and everything. So this is technically the next day. But upon arrival, the Crown's Guard, are everywhere. And they provide the writs that Captain Tabo sent with them, so the Crown's Guard allow them into the manor. The party, upon arrival, splits into two groups. So Wick and Xander go to the bedroom where the murder took place. Now Vexen, Nox's kid, and Vorkif go to question the servants and the daughter of the Truscan head of the family, Prime Arbiter Sidnock. Now, Prime Arbiter Sidnock, he's kind of like a judicial sort of figure in the Empire, but his family's manor, is in Deastock. And his daughter, Lydia Truscan, is also there. Now, while Nox's kid and Vexen, a.k.a. Team Ranger by this point, they basically, Nox's kid and Vexen do so much together that Nox's kids just start saying, he's like, yo, man, we're Team Ranger. And so Vexen's like, all right, sure. So there they are. They're now Team Ranger every time they do something together. But essentially, from there, they question the servants about what they saw, as well as the layout of the manor, and if they may know of any like secret passages or anything like that. In Vorkif, since he has the highest or the best insight check, goes to question Lydia Truscan. Now, the servants, they speak of no hidden passages. They don't know anything like that. But they do inform Team Ranger, a.k.a. Vexen and Nox's kid, that Lydia's friend had been keeping company with her lover at the manor. Not Lydia's lover, her friend's lover, a fellow known as Durant Harlow. Now, the friend in question that is related to Olivia, she is an elven noblewoman by the name of Lavire Baravan. And essentially, she's just, an elf that is not too in tune with all the wild sort of stuff. She's an elf that has kind of enjoyed the kind of lavish life of the younger mortals. Anyways, Lavire Baravan, was murdered the night before, and they explain that Lavire entered yesterday afternoon with Durant Harlow and retired to the guest ward while Lydia was away for the night. She was still traveling, technically, to the manor, and they were going to wait there for her. So the servants are obligated to serve Truscan guests, and they said that neither one was seen leaving the room upon discovery of the murder. So only Lavire's bloodied corpse remained, and Harlow was nowhere to be found. Now, Vorkif, he questions Lydia to try and glean what she knows of the victim and the suspect. Also, their relationship to her, as, they're trying to figure everything out. He discovers that Lydia is actually estranged from her father, Prime Arbiter Sidnock, and in fact lives in Zadash, though she on occasion returns home when she knows her father is away across the Empire to visit old friends and relatives. Now, she requested them to meet her here at her family's manor. And Lydia doesn't know Harlow personally, but Levire's letters tell her of their relationship. So Lydia was excited to see her old friend and wanted to meet them at her manor, her family's manor. Why anyone would murder Levire remains a mystery to her, but Harlow remains the only suspect. What his motives are, if he killed her, remain elusive to Lydia's insights. Now, Wick and Xander are investigating the guest room that the murder occurred. The Crown's Guard has not disturbed the crime scene on Captain Tabo's orders. Levire's corpse has not been moved. So Wick and Xander work together, granting each other advantage on their various skill checks to discover what happened the night before. Now, the lacerations indicate great gashes that have a pattern of claws, as opposed to blades by Xander's investigation. Wick decides to use a feature from his warlock class to detect magic. Now, detect magic is super useful just for basically finding the actual sources of the magical energy and what kind of school of magic that magical source is. And essentially what he discovers, it is from the School of Illusion, or an illusion spell. Now, the source is on the canopy that overhangs the bed, right? So Wick quietly communicates with Xander, and they both decide Xander should investigate while Wick watches from the center of the room. Now, as Xander is about to investigate the canopy, kind of scanning around, that is when a claw reaches out to slash him, and then the illusion spell is broken. And Xander dodges the strike and falls back as the partially clothed, handsome young man that has blood splattered all over him leaps down from the canopy. Xander tries for an attack of opportunity. That's when they're running away from you and you get a chance to attack them. And Wick fires an Eldritch Blast at him, which is one of his warlock cantrips. Both attacks hit, but neither slows him down as he rushes out into the hall, and the pursuit is on. So they can already tell this guy is more than what he seems. But essentially, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm a little bit quicker with these videos and stuff, so I hope you guys enjoy them. And we're just going to keep them coming. All right? And hopefully we'll start working our way down the campaigns all the way to campaign 1. But here we go. All right. Take care. And until next time.